This is a real life struggle, and probably we as designers should speak openly about it.
So you don't need a detailed BOQ at the start of a project.
There are a lot of challenges that come as a designer.
How do you discuss with your client that the budget has gone beyond?
I think so. The most important thing is to being more transparent.
What is the difference between a residential project and a commercial project? Like, how different are the clients even? Is there any other way of your studio works on a BOQ? Super excited to be with architect Melissa Pereira, and she's a very good and a close friend of mine. Today, we welcome her on board on our serial designer, and she's here to give us insights on contracts, budgeting, taxation, finances, and so on. Also, stay tuned for the entire episode for her insights. She has 12 years of industry experience and has been teaching in various colleges in Mumbai. We wholeheartedly welcome her for a super cool episode on The Serial Designer. Also, make sure to like, share, and subscribe the video and never miss another update from us. Ma'am, we are very excited that you've come to our studio today. And but today we really want to talk about the execution part of a site. It's very fancy, very whimsical that even your designer sketching and putting it on site. But once the execution starts, I feel the real struggle start. So would you tell us a little bit about how you execute your sites? A little brief overview.
Okay. So, first thing, Devanshi, thank you for inviting me today to speak about, the real life struggle of
Yeah.
a architect, actually. We see a lot of these days content on social media, and it's kind of very catchy to
Yeah.
see, that there's so perfect industry there.
Correct.
But as a practitioner and executing projects of my own, there are a lot of challenges that come as a designer. First
Hmm.
thing is what you design on in your office,
Hmm.
and when it goes to the site,
Correct.
there are a lot of challenges with respect to the communication between the contractors,
Hmm. Hmm.
whether your drawings have actually been read properly on the site. Sometimes it becomes difficult for them to even understand what kind of materials we have been mentioned in our design.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this is a real life struggle, and probably we as designers should speak openly about it
Correct.
rather than making sure that we show the so-called perfect picture to
Yeah,
our
making it look
the
glamorous and
glamorous
yeah.
and so on. So basically, in our studio, we actually try to make sure that our drawings are very simple to
Hmm.
understand,
Hmm.
first of all, because we also need to understand the contractors, the workers who come to our site may not be that skillful also. So
Yes.
your dimensioning, your materials, the list of materials that you mention in your drawing, keep it more simple. But then there has to be a very right sort of information which is mentioned in your drawings.
Hmm. Hmm.
And at times when you the initial first project, when you start on the site, the first execution
Hmm.
day,
Hmm.
I what we do is we probably call all our vendors together,
Okay.
and
Okay.
we make sure that there is a nice healthy sort of bonding between the vendors also, because
Hmm.
there are people who have their own egos. They are someone who has been in the industry for maybe more than us, and
Yeah.
it becomes at times very difficult. So we try to call them all together,
Hmm.
explain the project in brief to all the our contractors,
Hmm.
and then we try to make sure that they have a very good bonding among them, and that's how the project actually initiates on the site.
Correct.
And regarding coordination also, what I feel is that you also, as a designer, you also have to keep check on their coordination, because
Hmm.
sometimes the communication is on a phone, and
Hmm.
and you may not be able to visit the site every
Hmm.
day,
Hmm.
and in that case, you don't know what is happening on the site, and
Hmm.
then for in that case, then you have your project manager or someone from
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
firm who would be a back end help, who is actually monitoring the entire process of
Correct.
designing.
Yeah. So that's where the next question of mine was that how important do you think a site supervisor or an intern or say a project manager is for a project, because as you said, every time a designer cannot be on site, and if
Absolutely.
even if he comes on site, it's not like in that 1 hour 2 hours he's going to sit and explain each and every person what to do. So in
Absolutely.
that case, how important is a project manager?
Yeah, so see, I mean, of course, there are big practices where there are project architects and project
Hmm.
managers, and site supervisors who have been appointed. There are
Hmm.
third party,
Yeah.
contractors, and managers also who work for projects which are of this big scale. But when we are talking about small projects, which are of course not very small, but like say around 4,000 to 6,000 square feet of residential project,
Hmm.
we make sure that there is someone from the design team who is handling the project. He's there from what the kind of design we've been doing in the office. He's been part of the design, and at the same time he's
Since the
been
start.
at the start,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
at the
Okay.
start of the project. So he's basically been monitoring the kind of changes that has happened.
Hmm.
So maybe sometimes what happens is that you release your say civil drawings, and then when you reach at the interior stage, you have made the change of civil on site, and
Hmm.
probably that's not mapped by you in the
Correct.
drawing.
Correct.
So at this time, someone from the project team who has been working on the project from the start
Hmm.
becomes a handy source of,
Yeah.
say, intervention, or a person who is like monitoring, and
Correct.
who've been telling that this was a civil change probably
Hmm.
we did.
Hmm.
For example, just shifting of a wall in one of the space, and then you don't actually take care of that at the interior stage.
Correct.
So as an intern also, or someone from your project team who is taking care of the project, who is going and looking after the execution of the project every day, making sure there is also interaction if the client comes on the site.
Correct.
So that's also very important, and I
Especially when it's a residential, there's a lot of
absolutely.
times clients do come and go
Yeah,
on
so
site. Yeah.
there is a lot of, I think so, for a residential project it is very important that
Yeah.
you have a very straightforward sort of contract which says that no few changes after a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I what I feel these days is there's so much of data and information that is available internet,
Hmm.
especially
Hmm.
work of architects, work of different designers. Pinterest has become a god for our clients these
Correct.
days, and it becomes very important that you set a benchmark to your client, saying that this is what we have decided at the start of the project. This is a theme of the project, the concept of the project, and we don't deviate from there.
Hmm.
So this is also probably one of the things that you should mention in your contract, the number
Correct.
of revisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And also, what you exactly said, in residential project there's a lot of
Going back and
through
forth.
and
Yeah.
fro of clients coming to site, and
Hmm.
looking after the material, and then making sure that whether the color is probably right, or whether you want to rethink about the color. So someone from your project team is very important, that keeps a
Yes.
watch
Yes.
on
Yes.
the project
Um,
progress.
Also, while they are supervising, how important do you think is, like, planning, scheduling, or making a BOQ, sticking to the BOQ? Because that's where the whole budget lies. Like a
Absolutely.
minor change in,
Yeah.
say, just the frame of a door can
Yeah.
change the BOQ at a vast level, that too when the scale is very large. So
Absolutely.
small changes also make a lot of difference. So how
uh,
important is that?
yeah, of course, I mean, when we get a project, the first thing is when we do the basic sort of layering, or basic sort of design, we put up a small cost estimation to them,
Yes.
which is probably not a detailed at the initial stage, because we also want to understand whether the client is actually going to be your client, or
Hmm.
whether
Hmm.
he's just expecting you to have a sort of a design proposal. So we give a small estimation. We make sure that the estimation is thoroughly discussed with our clients,
Hmm.
and then we also come to know that what kind of budget he's looking at. So that's
Hmm.
very important, that you first make those things very clear on
So you
paper.
don't need a detailed BOQ at the start of a project.
Yeah.
Start me, you just need like a rough figure,
Yeah.
like a
So,
ballpark
so
figure.
it depends. Like for people who have very sure about, getting the project, or, that this is a source who is definitely going to come to me. In that case, you can probably work out a detail. But in most of the cases where a client is looking for a proposal from you, you could actually give a small sort of
Hmm.
a cost estimation to him.
Correct.
Talk about the materials, do mention about the materials. For example, if I would say that, if you want to go for an Italian flooring, or whether you want to go for a basic vitrified tiles, so there itself the cost escalation
Correct.
is huge.
Yeah, yeah.
So that becomes very important, that you have a very detailed discussion on what kind of project budget are
Are
you
you looking
looking
at?
at.
Correct.
So that is one thing that we looked at, and then when we are confident enough, when we know that our design is something which has made a
Impact on your
impact
client.
on your
Yeah.
client, probably that is the time where we actually start doing our
A
detailed
detailed
BOQ.
BOQ. Okay.
Yes,
So just for our viewers and the people who are new to this concept, BOQ is essentially a bill of quantities that you make along with your specifications, the way of
absolutely.
doing the process on site, what materials will you use, how much will you use. That's essentially a bill of quantity.
Yeah.
But is there any other way of your studio works on a BOQ?
So basically, there are a lot of softwares these days, probably,
Yeah.
which a lot of young designers have been using. So, mapping your project, and putting all the day to day task that will be there with respect to cost.
Hmm.
So I think so that's very important that you start using this applications
Hmm.
and so on. So it becomes very important for, because I feel that, this, even our client demands a very quick sort of
Correct.
BOQ,
Yeah.
which at times becomes difficult,
Hmm.
because you need to work on the design, you need to work on the bill of quantities, and then at the same time you want to make sure that you give the client the fortnight,
Yeah.
because he's expecting the content from you. So at this time, what I say, that there are these apps, there are this automatic cost generator sheets which you should use. Google Sheets are there,
Hmm.
which would be very handy at the start of the thing, and then probably then you could probably
Go
relook
in
at
depth
and
and
do.
then go into processes and what will go on site and what time.
Absolutely.
Um,
Processes, then the
yeah.
timeline of the project, when do you start, what particular stage is the project, what are the different kind of stages that you're going to look at with respect to, say, civil work, then electrical, plumbing, and then the followed by, your furniture work and
Correct.
your, say, finishing work and so on.
So when you said timeline, the moment you said timeline, the first thing that clicked on, my mind was time overrun and cost overrun. So
Absolutely.
once time overrun ho jata hai, which generally happens in a
Absolutely.
residential,
Yeah.
especially because, as you said, a lot of revisions and changes are going on
Sure.
site. But when a time overrun happens, cost overrun comes along with it.
Yeah.
So how do you discuss with your client that the budget has gone beyond? There has
Okay.
been a cost overrun. How do you convey this?
So what happens at times is, when you're doing the project, there is some additional work which also the client decides that,
Correct.
okay, let's do it now. Though at the start of the project, it would have been discussed with you that, they are supposed to do it phase wise. So
Correct.
maybe say they are going to finish some part of the project, and, some extra carpentry work would happen in the second phase,
Hmm.
or, it's not planned right now. But when you're doing it, probably the project timeline also increases, and
Yeah.
at the same time the client decides that, let's complete it.
Correct.
So in that case, I think so first thing very important is that you make sure that you convince your client, or you tell them that, this was not included in the first discussion that we
Correct.
had, and now this is an extra work that we are doing. So of course there is going to be some change in the final BOQ, and then you immediately work out the cost for that, and
Okay.
you add it as a, addition to your existing BOQ which
Correct.
is there, and you make sure then, so that there is no last minute sort of tension which the client has to always bear, because
Right.
any which ways, wherever, howsoever detailed BOQs we mark, there are some sort of X factors which are not been considered at the
Correct.
start. Maybe the labor rate suddenly increases due to some festival which comes up. So you will have to appoint more number of people. Then there is a lot of pressure from the client saying that already the project timeline is over and now we want a project. So then you have again extra labor, and
Yeah.
then that kind of becomes an add-on to your project cost. So I think so the most important thing is to being more transparent,
Very good. Yeah.
and telling your client and
There
telling
and
it
there.
there and there
Yeah.
itself on the side, not waiting for the right moment, because
Correct.
we as designers always feel कि okay अभी हम लोग बात करेंगे on the side, तो फिर उनको क्या लगेगा
Correct.
कि ये, I mean, it's behind, the money part is always there coming up, but then it's more that sort of be more open to your
Yeah.
client about the cost factor, because
Correct.
everything boils down
Boils
and
down
comes
to
down
cost.
to a cost.
फिर ऐसा ना हो कि एंड में लाइक ये तो आपने कन्वे ही नहीं किया था, दिस
Absolutely,
वाज नॉट
absolutely,
कम्युनिकेटेड,
yeah,
you should have told me this before. And
absolutely,
honestly, we designers have learned it the hard way, and
yeah,
it has happened to us maybe a couple of times in the initial stages when we were working, that always end में हमारे design fee से फिर एक
absolutely, yes. So
part
it
निकल जाता
always
है, so that
affects
yeah,
the design fees, and that's the sad part probably, when
yeah,
we designers have to, because we do it with whole heart, and we make sure that there's no disturbance that happens in the entire project
correct,
journey that we have planned. And at the end, when it comes to, even if it's a happy ending, and I think so it should be a happy ending of the project. It should not be that somewhere you don't feel
correct,
positive about your work getting completed, because ultimately वो hard work का पैसा मिलना चाहिए.
correct.
So that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think money keeps you going.
Yeah,
Anybody, money
so of
keeps
course,
everybody
yeah,
going.
that's how
Yeah.
you're so passionate about
Yeah.
doing your work, and you always look forward, कि let the new opportunities come, let new sort of new dimension of projects click you. I mean, if you've worked on residential, then the next residential project you want to do something better.
Correct.
And I think so this is like a driving force. You do one better, then you try to do something different in a different project with a different scale.
Correct.
Yeah.
You just said about residential. What is the difference between a residential project and a commercial project? Like, how different are the clients even in terms of budget?
Okay, so actually in residential project, I think so the project is kind of well planned. Commercial also, you could say that it's planned, though I would say that there's not much interaction with your clients in the commercial, because they know that the end is going to be like, for example, if it's a restaurant, or if it's a office or so on. So we feel that there is a lot of less of client intervention in commercial, but a more in residential.
Correct.
Because in residential, probably if it's a family of 8, every 8 have to discuss their requirements
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
While in commercial, you know that the project is an office space or a commercial office space, and if you know the background of what the office is going to be, then you kind of make sure that your concepts and everything revolve around that. You In commercial, probably you have, the client might have already given you a very brief sort of touch on
Of what they
of
want.
the what they want, and also the budget, because ultimately they want it that there should be, because they are also doing the design, or they are also setting up a commercial space for their businesses to run. So they already have sort of a
Budget.
figure and budget in their mind.
So also decision making. I feel residential में, as you said, because 8 लोग हैं, 8 के requirement से 8 decision makers here.
Absolutely.
And in a commercial, it's just a one-stop solution. You have the
Absolutely.
owner or maybe the supervisor, somebody who's
Yeah.
there to take the final call at
Final
least.
call, yes.
All right. So residential versus commercial. As a designer, what do you feel has better meets your financial goals as a designer?
So, so I feel there is maybe there's a possibility of financial gain in both the projects, but then in commercial you get bigger sort of project to work on. At the same time, probably you have better margins.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of headache on your head because,
Correct.
there's only what you said, right? The decision maker
Decision
is
maker
one
is one.
or two. And that there is a certain palette of design that you have given to your clients and you want to just get that done.
Hmm.
So I feel the margins are good in commercial. There's good scope to work on.
Hmm.
And if it's a very big scale of commercial project that you're doing, then you have a lot of different sort of contractors also. So you as designer will have to be just like a superpower, making sure everything is done.
Yeah.
And then in
Yeah.
residential, it becomes a lot of other sort of things.
Hmm.
First thing is the decision makers जो
Hmm.
है उनको हैंडल करना है. फिर बाकी के
उनके
जो
इमोशंस को टैकल करना है.
उनके
You become a
इमोशंस.
counselor in the process. I
Absolutely,
was just talking to
absolutely,
one of my colleagues and they were like कि कभी कभी मुझे लगता है मैं डिजाइनर कम काउंसलर
absolutely,
ज्यादा बन गई हूँ because you're constantly dealing with what they like, what are their likes, their dislikes.
absolutely.
You're even checking out their wardrobe.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure, very
it's
true.
very it's too much of an interference within the
Absolutely.
family.
Yeah, that's there.
Yeah,
So, yeah, so I feel in that case, one would love to work on commercial
yeah,
projects and then residential. But then, of course, housing is one of the basic need. And I think
yeah,
so every time
correct.
you have, population expansion happening, the need of housing
Housing.
is, going to definitely increase. But yes, with respect to margins, I would say commercials work better.
Okay. Uh, Again, talking about finances, I feel we architects or designers, we are, we have always struggled with finances.
Yeah,
And we keep talking about legal finances, we keep talking about taxations as well. Uh, because we're not taught that, in college or in school,
absolutely.
we always lack this. So, what are your struggles while dealing with it?
Yes. So initially when we started, I mean, I started somewhere around 2014,
Hmm.
and I remember I did a first project was also residential, though it was an architecture and a residential interior project. So initially, the first thing was how do you charge a client,
Hmm.
and then the whole, thought process start कि इतना charge करे कि कितना charge करे,
Hmm.
charges do you take, and then what we decided is that let's look at square feet sort of
Hmm.
charges at what the designers charge. So that's how we started building on how to look at the finances of a project. When we have to do the mapping of the finances, when we are doing a turnkey project and all, what we started also doing is we started maintaining the Excel sheets.
Hmm.
So initially, things used to go beyond a certain figure. I mean, if we
Correct.
have planned an X figure, X plus Y hota tha.
Yeah.
So because it was trial and error that we were doing, and now we know that after doing like more than 10 to 15 projects, we now realize that this is the factor, cost factor that we need to consider for a particular job to be done.
Hmm.
So that this Excel sheets have become very helpful in my
Correct.
case,
That's your
especially
data.
that's a
Yeah.
data. So basically we have been doing that since 2014, and I think so it's a very nice way for young designers also who want to
Hmm.
just get into the industry, that maintain this Excel sheets. You look
Correct.
at your cost sheets of the first project, and then after you do your 10th project, look at the cost sheet that you
Hmm.
have generated.
Maybe you'll get like a thumb rule kind of
Absolutely,
a
you'll get a
thing.
thumb rule. So, for example, imagine that in 2014 we did a wardrobe which was a sliding wardrobe of XY cost, and now when we are doing the same wardrobe with profile shutters and with fluted glasses and with back painted glasses, the cost is something that you need to relook at.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
these Excel sheets have become like a sort of Bible for us.
Correct.
So we have been doing that, we have been maintaining it, and we make sure that our the interns who come to our office, or
Hmm.
the people who are working for us, they also do it and maintain it. So
Correct.
sometimes you are not the only person who is keeping a
Check on it.
record or
Yeah.
check of all the products that come on the site.
So
So they
that's
are the
become like a office system. you've
That's
laid
become
out a
like office
system that
system.
you have
Yes,
to
yes,
maintain this
yes,
record and you
yes,
have to
yes.
keep going back and forth in your
Yeah.
Excel sheets.
And also, this sheets could be, then if you're very transparent with your clients, then I feel that this same Excel sheets you could share it with them when you know that there is sort of price which is going to increase, or the cost of the project, when we just spoke about
Yeah.
that there is some extra work that the client has decided. So then this excels could be like,
Yeah.
the sheets which could actually make sure that your
Correct.
client knows, oh, there's a tapping of all the cost that is
Yeah.
coming. So
Yeah.
it's not going somewhere far beyond what our
Correct.
expectations are.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah,
And also because the same project, same square footage, if there's an X person who's done it and
yeah,
now there's a Y person, even the X person had faced certain cost overruns. Similarly, because we did this, we are also facing the same thing. So
absolutely,
he
absolutely.
or she doesn't feel that we are, getting looted or something in the process.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because, see, ultimately, first, it's their house.
Yeah,
Second, something very close to their heart. Third, because they're paying out of their
absolutely.
pockets,
Yeah.
it's going to be a little hard pass for them also.
Yes, yes.
So I think, yeah, we're right. When you show them with that transparency
Yeah,
and it's well maintained, so
yeah.
they understand that, okay, this has been a
Yes.
process since a
Yeah.
while.
So we
And
also
yeah,
keep a record of, the credits done from, like, the
okay.
number of invoices that we raise.
Hmm.
So I mean, I don't know, in most of the firms, probably the invoices must have been raised on the first. We normally do it on the first, and we make sure we give the client time of 10 days to
Okay.
make sure they are addressed to the invoice. And we give a numbering to our invoices also, so that, and
Hmm.
we give the numbering unique to the project of the client that we are doing.
Hmm.
So basically he knows that this is the fifth invoice or this is the 10th invoice.
Correct.
And then the date is also mentioned, and then the same Excel sheet also has the invoice date
Okay.
and the number. So there's no sort of miscommunication, or we don't
Hmm.
miss on the information.
Correct.
Sometimes what happens is, you raise the invoice but the client has not responded, and then suddenly he has made the RTGS, or he has made the transaction, and he's not even put your message.
Correct.
So that time, this invoice is numbering, if you put a right number, and if you make sure that the data is entered
Hmm.
at the end of the project, it's not the check becomes
Easier.
right and
Yeah. Yeah.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah. So you know that you so as you said, like there's a proper system of coding, there's a proper
absolutely,
system of
absolutely.
scheduling,
Yeah,
invoice numbers matching the numbers on your Excel sheet. So something as simple as an Excel sheet also can be used to its fullest.
absolutely. Very,
So there are a lot
very
of
true.
designers who are working on Primavera, MS Project, and they get
Yeah,
in Gantt charts. But
yeah,
I think something as simple as an Excel sheet also could be used as a
absolutely.
very, very powerful tool.
Yeah.
And at least the younger designers should, opt for that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is really needed
Yeah,
because sometimes this track is very important.
track is very
Tracking your project is
yeah.
very important.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's how you have the project manager now.
Yes.
That's the importance of a project
Yeah,
manager.
yeah, yeah.
Correct. So I this is my last and my final question. What about contracts? So all this when you said that we raise an invoice number,
Yeah.
we have these Excel sheets. Are all these clauses added in our contracts when you
Yeah, so
have an agreement?
basically, when we do the contract, we mention about what are the stages. So, for example, we say that first is the design discussion, then we have design mood boards. For example, if it's again a residential project, then we have sort of electrical look. One of the criterias, plumbing, and so on. So all the stages, when you mention, at the same time you also mention your slabs of your payment.
Okay,
So this
fair
is
enough.
mentioned in our contract, and we make sure that the end of we also have a final slab which says, or the final sort of estimation. In the estimation we say that the final cost will be settled after the project is completed, and
Correct.
there has been 15 days after the handover, and so
Hmm.
on,
Hmm.
because sometimes when you do the handover, then there might be some factors which
Hmm.
the client wants to relook at, or maybe you say that there might be some sort of mishandling that must have done at the final execute
Handover stage,
handover.
yeah.
So so this is of the final sort of POQ has this all the stages mentioned, and at the same time the final payment is also closed on those terms.
Okay,
So we
okay.
give them a buffer of 15 days, saying that now the project is handover. They have any sort of relook that they want to do on the project, they are free to do that, and we could get that done for them.
Correct, correct. So when you said interim payments आते
Yeah.
हैं, तो ये सब चीजें आपके clauses में भी mentioned है.
Absolutely. It is
Okay.
mentioned in the notes what is the time.
Okay.
So if the invoice is raised, so we give them 10 days. So that is
Yes,
all
all
mentioned. And I
mentioned.
think so it's better that you have it in black and white,
Correct.
because it at times it becomes important. Sometimes you don't get all those friendly clients at
Yeah.
times. You sometimes someone will be questioning you that this is not mentioned to us. So if it is there and if the client is not read, then you can just politely tell him that go to the
Contract agreement, yeah.
agreement, look at the BOQ on page number so and see that we have already mentioned it. Because I feel that rather than getting into an argument, it's better it's there, it's read, and then you sort of have a
Yeah.
next question to your client. So that's important.
Also, every year, I'm sure there'll be a lot of revisions in your contract agreement also. It depends
Absolutely.
from client to client, because as you said, we learn from our own
Absolutely, yeah.
trial, errors,
Yeah,
mistakes.
yeah.
तो अब हर बार कुछ ना कुछ नए clauses हम add करते रहते हैं. Any recent clause that you've like just added?
Yeah, so the recent clause that we added, one was our design revisions, that certain pure point we don't expect that the design should be changed, because what happens is once the client gives us heads up on the design, we actually end up doing all the construction drawings and working
subsequent drawings, correct.
subsequent drawings, and then when you have those revisions coming up, you need to sort of
Change
make those
all the drawings, the
changes
entire
to-
series, yeah.
So that's one of the clause, or we make sure that we have mentioned the clause in a very polite way that once the design is freezed, we expect that whatever minor changes or major changes you bring to us upfront. I mean,
Correct.
once it's done, then
Then
you don't
can't.
expect
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And also at the time that if they want to terminate the contract, they need to make sure that they give us prior intimation. They sort of clear our payments, what they have discussed till the stage we are
Correct.
with them, and then they could take a no objection sort of NOC or so, and they could move to the next designer.
Yeah,
So, and I think so that's more ethical way of doing it, because what happens is it's not a very casual job.
Yeah, yeah.
So
There are so many stakeholders
there
also.
are so many
Yeah,
stakeholders,
yeah.
because suddenly if they don't wish to go with you, then there are different and if there is another designer who is appointed, then your contractors who have been already initiated the project on
Yeah.
the site will have to bear the
The
consequences.
consequences.
So that's there. So these are like the new
Newer
sort
trends.
of new
Additions and
additions
trends.
that we have done to our
Especially this,
contract.
because stakeholders may your contractor is there, then you have those carpenters, skilled
Absolutely,
laborers,
yeah.
painters, the people who do RCP,
Yeah,
laborers, general, skilled, unskilled. Kitne
Yes,
people are dependent
Absolutely,
on you,
yeah.
and you are managing
Yeah.
so many people, your
Yes.
interns.
Yeah.
What about your intern salaries?
Yeah, so
something
because
of
that's
that
how you
sort.
actually work the project cost, and also you look at the finances, how you're going to manage the payments of the employee who are working. So though we have 3 employees working for us, and we make sure that our cost of the project and the kind of payments that we release for our so-called our senior designer or our junior designer, we make sure that that's how we work, like the efforts of those people are also to be looked at.
Yeah.
So this becomes very important that you mention these clauses in your contract, and I think so it's very important these days to have a right contract,
Yeah.
because that's like something which you could uh, watch for, when at times when you know that your client is not being too ethical, or
Yeah, yeah.
you think that there's something fidgeting and going on, they are in talks with this friend designer.
Hmm.
So this becomes very important, I would
Correct.
say.
Correct. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this delightful
Thank you so
conversation.
much.